Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a story that's been all over the headlines, the British economy. It's a really complex situation, with deep roots and consequences that ripple out way beyond the UK. So let's jump right in. Okay, so this is the big question on everyone's mind, right? Why? Why is an economy as big and established as Britain's hitting such serious headwinds? The news is full of talk about a slowdown, but what we're going to do is peel back the layers and see what's actually driving this. To really get our heads around this, we have to start at the beginning with the core causes. And, it's so tempting to look for just one single thing to blame, but the reality? It's way more complicated. It's really like a perfect storm of several powerful forces all hitting at the same time.
Now, think of this slide as our roadmap for the next few minutes. It breaks the whole situation down into 5 key interconnected factors. We've got the long shadow of Brexit, inflation, low productivity, political instability, and, of course, global pressures. Let's tackle them one by one and see how they all fit together.
First up, the one that really reshaped Britain's entire economic landscape. Brexit. By leaving the EU's single market, new barriers to trade just popped up overnight. It's like adding a ton of friction to the gears of commerce. Suddenly, everything got slower and more expensive. And this didn't just hit goods, it also sparked major labor shortages. And, well, it made global investors think twice before putting their money into the UK. Next, we've got a problem that I'm sure many of us are feeling personally, that cost of living crisis. When the price of absolute essentials like fuel and food just skyrockets, it puts a massive squeeze on everyone's budget. The Bank of England's main weapon against this is to raise interest rates. Now, you can think of that as tapping the brakes on the economy, but that same brake pedal also makes mortgages and business loans a whole lot more painful. Okay, this next point is absolutely crucial, and it's all about something called productivity. Basically, think of it as how efficiently an economy works. Are you getting more out of the hours you put in? For decades, the answer in the UK has kind of been not really. A real slowdown in innovation, plus a lack of investment in things like modern transport and digital networks, has caused productivity to just flatline. And that basically puts a speed limit on the entire economy. So on top of all these economic hikes, there's been this period of pretty intense political turbulence. When governments and major policies keep changing, it creates this climate of uncertainty. And if there's one thing businesses and investors hate, it's uncertainty. It just makes it incredibly difficult for them to make those big, long-term plans and investments. And finally, let's be real, no economy is an island. The UK is also getting battered by some serious global storms. The war in Ukraine sent energy prices into orbit. A worldwide economic slowdown means there are just fewer customers for British goods. And all those trade tensions between giants like the US and China, well, that just adds another layer of fog and uncertainty to the whole picture. So we've laid out the causes. Now let's get into the consequences. Because a weak economy isn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet, right? It fundamentally changes a country's politics, its society, and its standing on the world stage. Back at home, you can see these economic pressures are just boiling over into real social and political frustration. When people are seeing costs go up and feel like their public services, like healthcare, are stretched super thin, it creates genuine anger. This puts a huge squeeze on the government's budget, deepens political divides, and puts the economy right at the heart of every single voter's decision. And this just brilliantly illustrates the shift in the UK's standing in its own backyard. Before Brexit, Britain was a major player inside the world's largest trading bloc. Now, being on the outside, its ability to influence European policy and negotiate trade deals from that position of strength has, well, it's clearly changed. These economic challenges are also forcing a major rethink of Britain's global role. So while London is still a financial powerhouse, for sure, it's facing much tougher competition. This has led to a greater reliance on that special relationship with the US, while its historic ties to the Commonwealth, though still important, just don't offer the same economic punch that its former EU membership did. All right, so we've diagnosed the problem and we've examined the symptoms. So what's the cure? Let's turn to the potential paths for recovery and explore how the UK might just get its economy back on a stronger footing. From what we're seeing, the consensus seems to point to a multi-pronged approach. There's no single magic bullet here. It starts with finding smarter, more practical ways to cooperate with the EU on trade. Then it's about a massive push to invest in the industries of the future, things like AI and green energy. Of course, that requires a highly skilled workforce, which you build through both training at home and strategic immigration. And underpinning all of it, absolutely all of it, is the need for political stability so that any long-term economic plan actually has a fighting chance to succeed. So let's bring all of this together. What's the one key takeaway we need to remember? And what's the big question this whole situation leaves us with?
If you remember one thing, it's this. This isn't about one single issue. It's a combination of interconnected challenges. Each problem actually feeds into the others, creating this really complex situation that the country is facing today.
And that leaves us with this huge, fundamental question about what's next. A potential path to recovery has been mapped out. But as we all know, having a map is one thing. Actually making the journey is something else entirely. The real test is whether the UK has the collective will and the stability to forge a new, stronger role for itself in what is a very rapidly changing world.